Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
As always, guys, please check in daily to all three channels, Evolutionary Energy Arts, EEARTS, and also Hearts Home. We're at 911.
Yay.
911. I feel like we can, maybe even can go over 1,000 today if we get a little push. That would be awesome. Awesome. So the last time we were talking about calling on the Mother of the Universe to basically help protect us and guide us. And it seems like people liked blending the stories. I'm going to give you a little background on a very, very interesting being and some anecdotal evidence for that being's existence. Of course, we know he does and did walk. Well, he does exist, and he did walk on the earth, and in fact, he's not very far away, and that is the being that's known as Hanuman, which you might have seen, this kind of a monkey man, Bigfoot type being who is very highly revered in all throughout Southeast Asia and India.
If you were in his presence, it wouldn't even really dawn on you that he's a monkey being because he carries such a high vibrational frequency about him. It's like all of that falls away, all of it. So you just see a being that's very, very advanced in his demeanor.
In fact, he is kind of the root story behind a lot of the Chinese legends of the Monkey King.
Ah, very interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes, absolutely. Again, these stories of these beings, in some places you can't cover them up. You can't wipe them out. I mean, he's a pretty big guy to cover up. He has the fascinating ability to shift between being relatively normal height and very, very large. Now, this is actually one of the cities, and cities are the yogic superpowers that come as we attain certain levels of enlightenment. They're not to be the goal, because having them as a goal could lead down the dark path. As you achieve these abilities, such as clairvoyance, telepathy, maybe even telekinesis, pyrokinesis, all sorts of different things, but also the ability to change the size of your body is one of those things. And he did have that ability, according to the myths and the legends.
And I do believe it. We talk a lot about Yeshua, and he had so many of these siddhis. He came back to try to show them to us, to teach us.
Yeah, and this is, again, where we totally do not believe that the story that we're given on Yeshua in the modern fundamentalist sense is the accurate one. Because, again, he was teaching us about connecting to the God that lives within us. Because, obviously, source has to be, if it's omnipresent, it means it's everywhere. So it's got to be in you by default. It's just an obvious, natural thing. And, again, they turned it into a blood sacrifice and something totally different. They turned it into giving away our power instead of realizing the power that lies within each of us. And that's the difference when we look to these legends. Yes, we can call on these beings for help, and they will help us. They will guide us, but they want us to grow.
Indeed.
So you can see this statue, and I don't know, what would you think? Let's see, probably 40 feet high, something like that. Well, yeah, I'd seen references where he was 60 feet high or even bigger at certain times in battle when it was called upon. And, make no mistake about it, Hanuman is a warrior. Absolutely. He is a strong force for good. And you see what's inside his chest. What is where his heart is? Well, that right there is Rama and Sita. And Rama is thought to be an incarnation of Vishnu. Vishnu is the creator of the universe. And Sita is an incarnation of Lakshmi, which is one of the aspects of the divine feminine, of the divine mother. So in reality, what that is depicting is that he is in service always to the original plan of creation. And so they do fight the demonic energies that come onto the planet. And so again, the battles of the Devas versus the Asuras, which I do again liken in many ways. Again, we can't equate a lot of these battles to the Titans against, the Olympian gods. And in some ways, we can also equate them to the Aesir and the Vanir. There's a lot of connection there when we look at the ones that are depicting the natural forces, the natural ways. Now, that is what Hanuman upholds, is the original plan of the creator of the universe. And, of course, the material universe is all created from the Divine Mother.
Everything here in Vedic astrology, there's a line of thinking where all the planets are male, and everything that is born on that planet is the feminine side.
It's the Ida and the Pingala. It's the yin and the yang, and again the unity of the Ida and the Pingala, which are two of the major nadis. That's the masculine and the feminine side. Their union flows when balanced and evenly distributed, and there are no blockages. It flows up the Sushumna, which is again the Kundalini energy, which triggers the pineal gland, and then we see clearly. Without the pineal gland activated, we can never really know, as in the sense of gnosis. We can just basically gain knowledge without that experiential sense of knowing. This is why, again, you have both in his heart, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And that is the key. And what we look at in our systems on the planet are patriarchal. And so they are accentuating, again, the masculine at the expense of the feminine. And the controllers understand this because that's going to keep us imbalanced. This is a very imbalanced world. That's pretty obvious. Pretty obvious. It's all part of their plan. But we are returning to harmony. We are returning to balance. And it's inevitable. So when we look and we go into the Ramayana, and at some point I am thinking about literally doing different stories from the Ramayana, from the Mahabharata, from the Puranas, from the Vedas, all the different scriptures, because I think people will find them extremely familiar in some ways. I mean, you'll be like, oh my God, this sounds just like the best of the Bible. Yeah, there's reason for that. And then you'll also find, but at the same time, they're so clearly descriptive of things that we can only interpret as beings with a lot of technology. As you see the horses and the chariot flying over the heads of everybody, because Ravenna, who is the Asura, he is that demonic being. He is, what we've gotten from the guides is he was not necessarily Enlil Enki Marduk, but he was somebody kind of affiliated with their coming on the planet. So he kidnaps Sita, takes her to an island called Lanka, which many believe is today's modern-day Sri Lanka, which is off the coast of India. He kidnaps her. It's going to make her his queen when she is the love of Rama. As you see more depictions of basically, you could say this was an alien abduction. You really could say this was an alien abduction. Look, she's looking down as they're flying around in his ship, and she's looking down on everybody below.
These stories, they look like just stories, but on some level, they are true. At the same time, while we read them, we want to try to glean those little nuggets of wisdom that help transform us into a better person.
Absolutely. So you see here a depiction of Rama fighting the Demon King. And of course, the Demon King is a massive giant, and Rama is somebody that looks like he stepped out of the movie Avatar. Or is it that Avatar is calling to our lost memories of seeing the blue beings? That's really the story ongoing here.
Indeed.
And so Rama is a depiction, because they say that he is an incarnation, and some believe that he is a literal avatar. of Vishnu, but you could never encompass all of Vishnu into any sort of human body. It would be impossible. And so you could say that he does have the energy of Vishnu, the clarity of Vishnu, the vision of Vishnu, the understanding of Vishnu as to the original plan and the way things are supposed to be, basic right and wrong. And so he is the epitome of the divine warrior in so many ways. And Hanuman recognizes that, and Hanuman is his right hand, is so loyal and supportive of everything he does, and would put his own life, and does put his own life in danger time and time again to support him. And in many ways, you can look at Hanuman as again, that righteous warrior like Rama. That's what these stories are depicting here. Being willing, ready, and able to stand up in the face of darkness and evil that looks to be overwhelming, and like there's no way, because again, the Demon King wasn't alone. He had a full massive army with him. Again, they all are able to fly in the sky. These are the wars of the gods. These are the wars of the gods. Probably the simplest mantra we can do for Hanuman, to take in his attributes. Like if we are feeling disempowered, if we are feeling like it's overwhelming, and how could we change anything? Hanuman can lend his energy. He has helped us. He has helped us numerous times escape dark situations and bring us to places where we can get a rest and recuperate and to get stronger. So the easiest would be his Mula mantra. Mula just means root. So Om Hanumate Namaha. So simple. Om Hanumate Namaha.
Om Hanumate Namaha.
And so this is usually recited religiously to overcome obstacles and problems in one's life. It's also a very powerful success mantra as well. So, again, it's a little bit different than Ganesha's overcoming obstacles, because it's coming from a little bit different angle. This is more of what I would say is a little bit more of a warrior energy. This is more of a preparing for battle, not that we're going to just turn into Rambo. No, that's not the idea. But it's having the courage to face things, having the courage. Because again, it can look like it's overwhelming. It's fascinating because all over India, Thailand, in fact, all over all of Southeast Asia, and even up into what is now parts of Russia, you will find these gigantic footprints that are attributed to Hanuman or one of his monkey army, so to speak. And, of course, right away, I was thinking, I wonder if this is any sort of relationship to Bigfoot-like beings, because there are many different Bigfoot-like beings that are here right now. And some are more physical than others. Some are able to most definitely change their frequency, so they could leave a physical footprint and then just boom, it's gone. And I've got some photos. I should have probably dug through and share some that I've taken along my journeys with Cindy here. There was a photo right outside of the cabin in North Carolina. We got also footprints right by an abandoned shaft in the middle of the desert, mine shaft. Now tell me, what's somebody walking around barefoot in Death Valley with 120 degree temperatures? Yeah, and if you've ever been out there, there's so many things out there that could poke you and stick you, and never mind the sidewinders and the tarantulas, etc., etc. Yeah, many times I've seen footprints out there, and in North Carolina, also I found a series of footprints that led straight to a tree and then just disappeared. It's like it walked into the tree and just disappeared, and all these were larger than normal. But there again, you can see there's certain areas where he was supposed to have jumped and left his imprint into rock. And then we have the legends in Judakala. Judakala is also in the Asheville area. That's a giant that also very similarly left impressions. And there is Judakala Rock, which I did videos on that, as well as the Devil's Courthouse. You can see footprints all over attributed to Hanuman or one of his type, as you can see. And in some places, they're leaving flowers in gratitude for all that he did for humanity, fighting for humanity. Because, he was defending humanity at a time when those beings that, again, we would call the Anunnaki, the draconian ones came here on Earth, and the battles of the gods ensued. What's fascinating, too, and we've touched on this before, there's Ram Setu Bridge, right? And this is what we mean, how everything that was already there gets taken over by the Abrahamic tradition, because they rename it Adam's Bridge, as in Adam and Eve, when it was a bridge that was known to people to be created by Hanuman and his ape army, so to speak, literally, in order to create a bridge between India and Sri Lanka so they could get the army across to go and rescue her. And when we look at this, this is one of those perplexing things that has perplexed scientists. Proven facts about it. Ram Setu, or Adam's Bridge, is a structure akin to a causeway connecting Pambam Island in Tamil Nadu to Mannar Island in Sri Lanka. Total length of the bridge is about 50 kilometers. That's quite a span. Adam's Bridge also separates the Gulf of Mannar from the Palk Strait. Some of the sandbanks are dry. The sea around the structure is very shallow, ranging from 3 feet to 30 feet deep. According to several scientific reports, the bridge was completely above sea level until 1480, but was damaged by a cyclone that hit the area. Till the 15th century, Ram Setu distance was passable on foot until the channel deepened. Isn't that fascinating? NASA discovers images of an ancient Ramayana bridge. Yes, as you can see, this is the area that we're talking about, India and Sri Lanka. And the legends say that this was actually created by an army of monkey men, or you might view them as Bigfoot-type beings. And it gives descriptions of how they built this. As you see, they're constructing this. They're actually writing on the stones a magic mantra, so to speak, so that the stones would float. And what's interesting is they also found volcanic rocks there that literally would float. Is there some sort of truth to all this? Is there some sort of truth to all this? Well, it's fascinating that this is so like the story from everything that we see and look at. So again, it really is fascinating to look at something like the Ramayana in today's times and look at it from the point of view that, are we really talking about extraterrestrial interdimensional warfare going on? Because and from what Cindy and I have gotten, that's exactly what it was.
Right. But everyone has to look through the information and make their own decision, because that's only fair. If you've only been given one book to take all of your information from, and you're told, don't go outside of this, don't do it, but then you find out later there's a ton of other stories just like the ones that are in that one book. I think it is important to go through all of it so you can make up your own mind. And I do believe when it comes to Bigfoot and his abilities, it definitely stems from Hanuman, because Bigfoots, they have abilities. They're extremely empathic. They can speak to each other with their minds, and yes, they can fade in and out of vision, and they do find humans very curious, but they are smart enough to stay way back.
And this is another version of a root mantra for Hanuman. And this is the one that Cindy and I do. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. And when you put the Shri in, that's a reference to the Divine Feminine. Because again, Rama is protecting Sita. So Rama, the divine masculine, the incarnation of Vishnu, is all about protecting Sita, the divine incarnation of his love, and the divine feminine, Lakshmi. And yet Hanuman is said to be an incarnation of Lord Shiva. So here we have again Lord Shiva protecting Lord Vishnu. And again, why would that be? Well, again, Shiva is that which is not, in the sense that it's thought. It's the universal consciousness interacting with the divine feminine to bring about the manifested universe. And so in that aspect, you could say Shiva is working through the divine feminine, Lakshmi, Sita, to help bring about the creation of Vishnu. And Hanuman is all about protecting and upholding the original vision of that creation.
Indeed, it is. So, Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. I hope you guys have a good time with that.
Yes, and his energy is supportive, protective, strengthening, and he is not far from us. So him and also Babaji, and Babaji is another incarnation of Shiva. Both of those beings are staying close to humanity to help us going through these times. They're never very far away. And when I say that, I mean they're literally just a few vibrational frequencies away. And these are beings that will be able to literally manifest on our density.
Indeed they will.
And indeed they have, and they do. And so we wanted to share that with you guys. Again, Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. I hope you guys found this interesting. As always, we thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. Much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.